Oh, I think I just seen it. Okay, it's live on Sharonda's page. I'm sharing it now, which means you'll see it in a second on mine, or you go to Sharonda's to share. I see a few people have joined us. Hey guys, now's a great time to share this video.
Okay.
We got a great time. It's a good time to share. Hold on. Copy link, share. What's up, Tamela? Thanks for always tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. I'm just sharing in a few groups, sharing on my page, and then we'll get started. And if y'all do the same thing. This is the last show, the last We Gonna Learn today. It's been an incredible time during this quarantine. So do me a favor and share. Sharing your favorite groups.
It didn't pop up yet.
Go to my page and then hit refresh. It's there.
Okay.
We got a few people joined on right now, just so you know they can hear us, they can see us. Is Kay on? Oh, we got Apostle Nelly, Dr. Tasha. All right. I think we got a full house. Hey. And I am just sharing in a couple of groups really quickly.
If you are going live on another device, turn the volume of that device down so that we don't catch the feedback.
Sharing on press release, sharing on my personal page, share on one more group and we'll get started. You guys do the same, share with us. We've been getting incredible feedback, so this is not something you want to keep to yourself. Let me share in the South Florida Black Business Directory. That's what happened when they give you admin. I just share in everybody's group, any page I manage. So we're gonna share it right there. And that's good for that. Okay. Got several people on the live on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for sharing. And you could comment because we could see your comments. You could comment. And we're gonna get started. So welcome, 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 welcome. It's Tuesday, and welcome to We Gonna Learn Today. We do this every single Tuesday during the quarantine, right at about 9 o'clock Eastern. And I got my girl on the line with us, my co-host Sharonda. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. It's end of the semester, so I'm good. To some people, outside is open. I'm in the house, but they say outside is open. So there's definitely, you can feel that shift, like that tug of those who are excited that outside is open, and those of us who are still sheltering in the safety of his arms, because I ain't moving. So
yes, of his arms. I almost forgot to pray. Doc, we're going to bring you up and talk to you about all your stuff, but I know you're a man of God. We always pray when we open this show. Okay. We don't want to make that mistake and not do a good thing Sharonda said, in his arms. Can you open us up in prayer, Doc?
Yes, I can do that.
Doc Holiday. And then we're going to bring in Tasha and all that stuff. We're going to get it popping, but I feel like we got a man of God that kind of preach a little bit. He's the pastor, so let's go there.
All right. Thank you, Father, for what we're about to have tonight. Father God, we're going to learn tonight. Father, we thank you for this platform that we can share, that you instill in us and give us all good things that we can share with the world, with the community, that everyone will learn, Father God, they will understand, and they will bring forth their gifts, their talents, Father, and they shall be able to learn and receive. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Dr. Tasha, we got to bring you into, you have been the resident therapist on the show for the past 8 weeks. I feel like we done went through so many different topics.
Oh, yes, we have. All good, though. All good.
Good, good, good. How you feeling? End of the semester, 8 weeks. Where you at mentally?
Mentally, you leave a course and you're like proud of all the work that you've done, and you're looking forward to the next semester, but you excited that you ain't got to come back for about like a couple more weeks. I'm right there.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to what happens next in the movement for next semester. But it was well worth it. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Yes, yes. You know what? Honestly, Sharonda called me one day and was like, look, we got to do something. We got to do something about this time. We got to put out some information. And we didn't really have a plan, guys, but kind of comment below. Did you learn a lot? How you feeling? What'd you implement? What's new? But Sharonda, I guess before we go into our guests, tell us about what you feel. I think you really brought forth the work of the Lord in this space. Do you feel fulfilled? How you feeling? Do you think our viewers got a lot out of this?
I do, and I'll go, more in depth at the end during our closeout. But I definitely feel like, during this time, there were those of us who had to work while others may have been resting, right? So there were those of us who had to work the work during this time. Tasha has been working the work, helping people clear out mental spaces so that they can survive this time, whether they were living in abusive situations or, just, being locked in a room with yourself for an extended period of time can kind of do something to you if you don't know who you are, right? And even for some people who believe they do know who they are, you ain't there with nobody but you. Y'all gonna have a lot of conversations between you, yourself, and yourself. And so I think that these past 8 weeks, for those of us who have been working through it, whether we've had jobs or businesses, trying to keep our brands afloat, trying to be fourth grade teachers, and cafeteria workers, and the school security, and the school counselor, and the after care, all of that, that has taken a toll on us. So now that outside is open for those who have been blessed to rest, for those of us who have worked during this time, we need to rest now while they go outside and play, right? So I think we've made good use of the time that we've had over the past 2 weeks.
I see our guest Stephanie shaking her head. I read an article that said women actually went into double time during this time. So let's jump right into the topic. We talked about health and wellness. We talked about, definitely mental health and medicine, like physical health and being healthy in your body, not just in your mind. We've talked about the injustices that we've seen in this country against Black men. We talked about how to quarantine with your mate properly. We talked about couples therapy, individual therapy. But we felt like we couldn't finish this conversation without, sometimes there's a war. Sometimes you got to protect yourself. Sometimes you got to be radical. Sometimes there's a need for a revolution. And I know a lot of Black people are thinking about gun ownership. A lot of people are not sure about standing their grounds. There's just a lot of confusion. I'm sure women are trying to figure out, should I be learning self-defense and martial arts? So we brought on some incredible guests all across the country to talk to us about self-defense, guns, and just really protecting yourself, whether you're male or female, what classes you need to take. So I want to welcome to this call, to this line, Stephanie Marie, vet, mom from New York, and certified firearms instructor. Doc Holliday, also man of God, used to be a preacher, but runs his own business teaching classes on how to use guns properly. And Mr. K, I think Mr. K is in the building. I don't see him, but if he is, yes.
He's there. Danielle is down. She has a
there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so what y'all on today? Okay, so whoa, it's a whole white.
Nellie is over to the left of my screen. I don't know if you can see her. Okay.
So I guess let's bust this conversation open. We want to do this, and then we want to kind of shift back to close out the last show properly. Me, Tasha, and Sharonda. So let's have this conversation. first. And I'm not sure who wants to start, but I guess I'll kick it off to, should we be owning guns? We seeing people get shot in the streets. Should we arm ourselves? Are we behind the times? Bring us up to speed. We need to learn today.
I mean, as a woman from the beginning of time, we've had atrocities done to us. So as a woman, it's been a long time coming that we actually protect ourselves. We have found that people have no duty to protect us. So we have to become that first responder. So I firmly believe that the time has been past, like get in the class, get armed, get trained, get with Doc, get with Danielle, and get with a local chapter to continue training. So, yeah.
The comments are pouring in like no other. I see Locked and Loaded from Jay Anthony. I see Latoya saying our elders did it. Brittany saying arm yourself. Latoya saying absolutely. And I think Davika says licensed and ready with the stick and the sword.
Okay,
and so
okay.
Doc, should we find conflict with our religion if we are spiritual and, we've taught our fingers to war and all that stuff? Are we allowed to have guns? Like, what's up?
Okay, as far as the religion go, everybody know, my wife and I, we used to actually pastor an actual church. I do itinerant ministry where I go out and preach in different arenas. But however, the Bible talks over in Chronicles about the sons of Issachar. The 12 tribes of Israel got together, and the Bible says the sons of Issachar saw the times and they knew what to do. Meaning, in the times that I started this in 2016, God gave me that understanding that things were coming to a head to where we needed to get together. We need to train all our ladies and men and children. I'm a big advocate of training children to understanding and knowledge and knowing what to do if they encounter a gun at a friend's house, at a family house, or their own house. Okay. And as far as religion, I had some preachers come up against me because they're like, how you turning from preaching the gospel to now teaching firearms instructions? And I was like, what? And I had one preacher, Pastor Roy McFadden, who came to me. And matter of fact, I teach his congregation because he has one of his sergeants that's on the SWAT team that every time when number 45 comes to Florida, he has to do that detail. So he has contracted with me to do all the trainings of firearms in his church, in his congregation. And from that, I had Pastor Cooper and Pastor Crooms and a couple of other prominent pastors come. But at first, a lot of people looked at me and like, no, you should not be teaching violence. And I tell them, I'm not teaching violence, I'm teaching self-defense. And even the word says the kingdom of God suffer violence, but the violent got to take it back by force. And see, we have to understand, we have to stand for something or we'll fall for anything.
I would, Chris.
Hey, it done already got tense. I know y'all can't see the comments, but I am looking. Go, Sharonda, but it's already tense on Facebook.
No, I was going to say, I think Melly can add something more to that piece of the conversation, because for those of us that were born and raised in church, that traditional religion thing, it looks at this topic a little different. You know what I mean? Hence the reason why Doc ran into some of the, obstacles that he did when he decided to take on this way of teaching. So I'm just interested to see if Nell can offer, something to that regard. As far as, because we have a lot of people that are on live that are members of churches, that are pastors, that are members, that are single moms, that are a lot of things. And so I don't know that I necessarily believe that if you believe in Christ, you can't carry a gun, right? So I don't think one has anything to do with the other. But again, traditional religion and teachings may have put a haze on that belief. So
Let me say
Apostle
this.
Nelly, what do you think, Apostle Nelly? Can our pastors have guns? Should they be able to defend themselves?
I think it's a lack of wisdom to be anywhere where a group of people are gathering and there's no weapons. As we look at John 18, Peter had a sword. You know, he used the sword in an inappropriate time, and that's why Christ told him to put the sword away. But he was with Christ and he had a sword. If we just look at history, how many mass shootings we've had in church buildings, you know, where people walked in and shot numerous people and there wasn't enough people armed. And so the Bible says, my people perish from a lack of knowledge, and we ought to follow the law of the land. And our Second Amendment right lets us have the rights to bear arms. We just have to follow the law by doing so. So I think it's, if we walk around and we're not armed and do it the legal way, we're actually setting ourselves up for the okie doke. We're allowing the enemy to come in and to kill, steal, and destroy us. And so the law allows us to, as long as we do it in a lawful way. I'm an apostle. I've been working for the government for over 15 years. I carry my weapon. I try to carry it everywhere that I go. When I go to service, I carry my weapon, because at the end of the day, we have to understand, we have to have wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing. In all thy getting, get understanding. A lot of times we don't ask the question of get understanding of what. We just think it's get understanding of opening the word and reading it. No, get understanding of your rights. Because if you don't know your rights, you really don't have rights. So I carry my weapon. So I think that we should educate ourselves. And this is wonderful what you guys are doing, because I would hate that I'm sitting at a ministry and somebody walks in with a weapon and I had a chance to get educated, to get licensed, and I would sit there and my kids are in there, and then the fear grips you and you can't do anything.
First of all, let me tell you something. Kudos to everybody on this Zoom today, because I did not expect all of this. So now that we've decided we should be carrying guns, there's nothing wrong with guns. And if somebody disagrees, please chime in so we can hear you. If that's the case, I don't know the rates, but most of my girlfriends, Black girlfriends, don't have guns. Somebody want to talk to me about why that is?
Please let me take this one. How y'all doing? I think that the primary reason that African-American females are not carrying guns.
Oh, sorry, sis, real quick. Who are you? Because
I am Danielle Campbell. I am the director of outreach and community development for the Black Arms Gun Club, which is the South Florida chapter of NAGA.
Okay, because so real quick, sis, we've been hunting you down and looking for you. We heard good about you. You got articles on Channel 7, super duper radical in your thought process. Now go.
Yeah, so I feel like primarily we're sitting back waiting for somebody else to do that for us. We've taken on this independent role as African-American women, and so we are accustomed to doing everything for ourselves, but we haven't taken responsibility for that one thing. And the truth of the matter is, and this is really Stephanie's slogan, but we are our family's first responders. We cannot sit back and wait for the police, because the truth of the matter is the average 911 response time in South Florida is anywhere from 4 to 18 minutes. And that's dependent upon what your zip code is. And so by the time the police get there, whatever has happened to you has happened, the assailant is gone and you're left unprotected. And so the responsible thing to do is get a gun, make sure that it fits, and train like your life depends on it, because it just might.
Wow, you guys are really taking us to a deeper understanding. The comments on Facebook are crazy. Make sure you continue to tag and share, because I needed to hear that not having protection is kind of irresponsible.
Yeah.
Kwame, can you jump in on this? I know you are more so self-defense, but Kaku, sorry. Who's about to say?
Yeah, he wanted to speak earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll touch back. Actually, Kwame is actually my brother. I invited him on. So I wanted let me touch back to what you guys were talking about as far as church is concerned. One thing that I stuck on, that I wrote on, especially as a growing up in the church and being part of the church and even ministering in the church, was Luke 35 and 36. I'll read that real quick and then we'll move on.
Okay, scripture. Let me write that.
Jesus asked them, when I sent you out without purse or bag or sandals, did you lack for anything? Nothing, they answered. Now, and this is Jesus saying, now, however, he told them the one with a purse should take it, and likewise a bag, and one without a sword shall sell his cloak and buy one. Now, we're talking swords back then. This is Jesus telling his disciples, telling people that if you don't have one, buy one, to protect yourself. So, I mean, it's very irresponsible for us in this day and time. And and that's kind of where my philosophy has shifted the last couple of months. As a male, as a Black male, it's irresponsible if I do not own a gun to protect myself, to protect my family. I believe that right now, it should be part of life, because that's just where we're at right now. But, that's that. As far as hand-to-hand self-defense, I understand some people aren't necessarily comfortable with the idea of guns. I get it, but get some kind of training. Use your hands. You have mace, a taser, something. Learn how to protect yourself. Learn to stand up for yourself and your family. My goal at the end of the day, I want to get home to my family, and I'm going to do whatever is necessary for me to get home to my family. I don't even believe in first responders. I am an immediate responder, immediate for that situation. Everybody else can be a first responder, and that's their job, and that's great. But they're not, like Danielle said, like Stephanie said, they're not going to be there for you in that moment. You have to be able to think for yourself. You have to be able to protect yourself, protect your family. Say something happens and you get hurt, you have to be able to manage that situation. You got to be clear of thought. You have to have these ideas and these situations already through your mind. You need to think about these things. And half of us, and nothing against what we don't know, but half of us don't even think about the possibility of something happen and what to do if it does happen. So that's what we're here for. We're here to give you new scenarios to put into your memory bank, so at least you have something to reference if something that were to happen.
I like that because honestly, for me, I'm a veteran, but I don't have any guns in my house. I never even thought about protecting myself in that manner. And I think I speak for many women on the live. So talk to us about, so you're just starting to get this idea, oh my God, protection is my responsibility. What do we do next? How important is consistent training so I'm not out there with my gun sideways, like in the movies?
And I wanted to say, Chris, I don't think you can see me, but I'm waving to kind of cut through the traffic a little bit, that we did have a request for Danielle to kind of go back, or anyone else to speak on the importance of consistent training once you get a weapon, right? And then if we can loop back to Kwaku, because some of the comments, because he speaks more from the self-defense, perspective, where people who may not want to necessarily arm themselves with a gun does not mean that they cannot be trained in how to protect and defend themselves. Or what about our people who are being reacclimated to society, who are not legally able to carry guns, but still need to protect themselves? I believe that we don't want to make it that you have to carry, it's gun is the only way to protect yourself. There are other self-defense trainings that people can go through to defend themselves and their families, for those who cannot, or just necessarily, or don't prefer, for whatever reasons, to carry a weapon. So I just want to make sure that we kind of touch on those things before Kwaku and Danielle get too lost in.
And that's absolute, because there are even going to be times where I might have to fight in order to get to my firearm. Like I might have it, I might have on a tight dress. It might be on my thigh, and I might have to, box a little bit in order to back up to be able to draw my weapon. So those are very, very, very real scenarios that apply to most people. And so I think that consistent training is super important, and we all fall short at times. But even if you can't get out to a range, like during times like quarantine, we should be dry firing at home. You should be practicing. Practice. In order to keep what you learn, you have to continually practice what you've learned. And so there are always training going on.
Danielle, they're talking about you in the comments. They say you got bows and arrows. You look like
That's Stephanie. That's Stephanie with the bow and arrow now.
Okay, so, and you seem very strong. Where does that come from? You like a power woman. Like, did something happen?
I'm going to tell you what it is. I've never been victimized, thank goodness. I've never been a victim of a crime, but I did grow up in a household with a very, very strong mother and 2 brothers. And the truth of the matter is I'm alone. I'm by myself. I have my 2 children, my 2 minor children, and myself. And so if something were to go down here, a lot of us don't know, a lot of Black people don't know that the parents of the Parkland survivors, they attempted to sue the police department for failing to protect their children. And it was mandated by a Florida court that the police have no duty to protect. And so with that, I've taken on a responsibility to shoot. What got me avid about my shooting was one of my staff members was shot by a stray bullet trying to head home. And it devastated the entire office. And I then realized that, hey, because I've always been a gun owner, I'm that irresponsible gun owner that was shooting and didn't know what was behind my target. And I've taken a mother, a colleague, a friend, from somebody. That could have very well been me, because I'd never leave home without a gun. I never would. But the truth of the matter is, up until about 3 years ago, I had no idea what I was doing with one, except to point and shoot, which is how so many innocent bystanders are being murdered in our communities, because the proper trainings are not people are not going to training. They just have guns. And that's irresponsible too. If you're going to have it, you want to invest in that training. You want to make it a point to go out to the range, and not just by yourself, but with a purpose and with a group of people that can help you learn, what you need to learn. And there are also trainings that you can just walk into a gun range and pay to take. You can reach out to Doc, you can reach out to Kwaku. Stephanie's no longer a Floridian, but if you're in Texas, you can reach out to Steph to learn a few things.
Sharonda, there's so many people on the live today. I got to flight back to see you.
Well, and I think Steph was getting ready to kind of talk to her, because the Florida concealed carry license, it differs than other states, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I think Steph is going to do a great job at talking about the fact that you can also not only carry a handgun, but other weapons like electronic weapons and tear gas guns and things of that nature. So everybody may not necessarily want to be a gun holder. So you can get your concealed weapons license and arm yourself with a weapon that you are, most comfortable with. The whole bow and arrow situation, we're gonna have to talk about that, Steph. But I'm listening.
I know, right?
There are a lot of non-lethal self-defense tools that's out there. You have striking tools, you have stun guns, you have pepper spray. So yes, take advantage of what you can. I am big on, if you can legally and you are in your right mind, mentally fit to carry and train, get a firearm. There's no substitute. Period.
Say that again, Miss Stephanie. Mentally fit.
Mentally fit.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
And that's subject, because who's doing those therapy sessions? Is it somebody that understands where we come from and understands, our background and our struggles, or is it somebody labeling? Putting the label on us.
Yes.
So, mental.
All of that. All of it.
And so my question is, because I understand where Dr. Tasha's going with mentally stable. How do we know that we won't get in a situation where we I wish it would, and then things pop off?
You know what?
Because I say that a lot, but I don't be having nothing to back it up. I just wish you would, and nothing's gonna happen if you did. So
listen, I'm from New York. I have a hot blood. I came from a good stock that don't play no mess. And I was always thinking, oh, if I carry a gun, ain't nobody gonna mess with me, and I'll just pull it out. But the minute I got trained and I understood the responsibility behind it, the severity of it, that completely changed. I never want to draw my firearm in a self-defense situation. I never want to have to I never want to have to be there. So I'm going to use additional tools. such as situational awareness, conflict avoidance. Yes, I will do that, but ultimately I still will have all my tools in my tool belt. I say that to say and to drag on that take some time to really consider where you are in your life, who depends on you, and who's going to protect you. Because like Danielle said, the national police response time is anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. And that's if you could reach the phone. Like nobody thinks of that. We're assuming we can reach the phone. We're assuming somebody's going to call the cops. What if nobody ever calls the cops? You know what I'm saying? I hate to sound morbid, but what happens to a body after 2-3 days? You know what I'm saying? So get with a local chapter, get trained. Danielle, please put the plug in for NAGA where we can continue.
Can y'all tell us more about NAGA? Because I'm just hearing about it. For those of you who don't know, I think it's the National African American Gun Association. What is that? And why are we just now hearing about this? Is it a new organization or is it a secret? Like, what's going on?
NAGA's been around for about 5 years. It's the Black alternative to the NRA. That's what it was coined to be. That's what it was built to be for us, for African Americans, because we have this kind of like love-hate relationship with the NRA. So over the last couple of years, it's been generating more traction with more chapters popping up and reaching out, and they're actually starting to make a good headway now. Every month they're getting new and new members. Every year the membership is growing, and this summer in Atlanta, they're going to hold their first convention.
That has been postponed until next year, Kwaku.
Because of the I forgot, because of the pandemic that's going on right now. But
this what you saying?
Yeah. I'm gonna leave that one alone, though. We can talk about that some other day on our conspiracy day. But so, but really, it's a growing network. And they are poised, they're put in a good position to do a lot of good work. And I advise anybody to look into it, especially if you're going to become a gun owner. Look into it and see for yourself if it's something that you want to join. If you're in South Florida, come holler at us at the
I'm gonna need you to tighten up, Kwaku. Black Arms Gun Club, South Florida.
Thank you, Mama. Hey, it's been months since I've seen y'all.
Danielle, can you take over a little
Hello.
Hey, I'm tighten on everything else. I wasn't plugging us. Okay, my bad.
Go ahead, Danielle.
Go ahead, finish, Danielle. And
so the Black Arms Gun Club is the South Florida chapter of NAGA. We meet once per month. We get together and we do trainings, we fellowship, we have an annual picnic. We're in the process now of planning, because we've gotten, in response to the Ahmaud Arbery situation, we've gotten an influx of applicants. And so rather than doing our traditional 3-panel telephone interviews, we're going to be putting together a schedule for 3 days. We're going to have it at varying times. We're going to have, by way of Facebook group, the new Rooms app, we're going to be doing informational sessions so that we can get information out to those that are interested about the club, what we are, what we represent, and what we do.
And what's up name again?
Black Arms Gun Club, South Florida. And so we currently everybody in South Florida, West Palm Beach, Broward County, and Miami-Dade County are part of the Black Arms Gun Club. So we have members that live in West Palm Beach that travel down from West Palm Beach to meet with us on range days.
Danielle, you
Yes,
mentioned
ma'am.
earlier, and we kind of vibed on this when I talked about being a 4th grade teacher, right? About being mothers who have children in their homes. And when you mentioned Ahmaud, it just made me think about all of these things. And a lot of, these teen shootings are happening because these, teenagers may know where the gun is, or have access to them, and just out here just blindly shooting and killing babies and all kind of stuff. What training opportunities, or what are we doing to train our youth
So
in defending themselves, whether it be with a gun or with, you know, self-defense tactics? What are we doing? What options are out there for children?
So at one of the umbrellas that we're currently working to pop up now for the Black Arms Gun Club is a street team. So what we're wanting to do is go out into the community and push more firearms safety and education. When I initially came up with this thought process, I started by reaching out to local townships and municipalities, and in an effort to push it to the community. When I saw like children being shot with their parents' firearms, specifically in Miami Gardens. And so I was actually in a CPR course when I mentioned to one of the elected officials that, hey, you know, you guys are doing this CPR course because someone in your church, you know, fell over and nobody in the church was certified to help them. And so you had this idea that the city would get behind free CPR training. And so what would it look like for you guys as a city to get behind free firearms training for your residents, by way of gun safety workshops for children, so that when they see guns, like Doc was saying earlier, they know to kind of stay away from them. So for example, I know what I have in my house, but when you get ready to send your children to my house, you don't know what I have in my house. And we don't necessarily know that your children are aware of what to do if they see something in my house that they shouldn't touch. And so it should be a universal education for our children. Hey, this is a gun, this is not a toy. But as with most things, you know, as adults, we go, hey, don't touch that, and we leave it at that. And what happens with children is that whatever is forbidden looks sweeter. And so they are going to go in when their friends come over to play around with these guns. They are going to try to sneak into them. Oh, let me show you something. And it's really because we haven't done our due diligence in making sure that our children are educated on what this is, what it does. And the truth of the matter is, if you look at little white children, you see them shooting and exposed to guns as early as 5 years old. But there's a stigma that is over the Black community that we don't talk about often. And I'll even have other Black people saying to me, oh, you're playing with them guns, you shouldn't be, you know, really like admonishing me because I want to make it home to my children, or I want to be able to protect my children should somebody come into my house. And so one of the things that we're working to do as a club, as a chapter, is really change the mindset in South Florida surrounding gun ownership with Black people. When I'm seen with a gun, if my gun is printing because my shirt's a little bit too tight, I don't want anybody to think that I'm up to no good.
Right, and you mentioned Miami Gardens, and I know that the Miami Gardens community enrichment teams have gone out to the schools, you know, to talk to the children about gun safety. And so you made a great point. Like, I know what's in my house. My children know what's in my house. But with other children and that's normally what happens. We just had that happen like last week in El Hotel. We got a 16, 17-year-old girl who got shot in the head because one of her friends came over and found the gun in the house, and you know, I guess went to try
Don't know how to handle it.
Don't know how to handle it. And now they child dead, right? Not because she touched the gun that she knew was in the house, but because somebody else saw the forbidden fruit, and went ahead and bit the apple. And so I just wanted us not to get too far beyond that, because sometimes our kids are in different parts of a room or different parts of a building when things go down, and we just want to make sure that our kids know how to protect themselves enough to get themselves to safety until your mama could come out here and shut you down. So we just, you know, want to make sure that we, you know, consider the kids. You know, it's been taboo for years. Keep kids away from guns. Keep kids away from guns.
It's a damn shame because our children can't even play with, like, I remember when my brothers had every color cap gun there was. But if I give my son a cap gun, even a Nerf gun, it doesn't even look anything like a gun, then I have people saying to me, oh, you shouldn't let them play with guns. Listen,
yeah, we talked about that last week, Chris, when we had the Black men on about being a Black man in these United States of America, and several of the guys last week talked about that, right, Chris? About caring if Ahmad would have had a gun on him, right? So it kind of changes the whole.
Definitely flips the script.
it flips the
We should
script.
have that. Let's have that conversation, you guys. I would love to hear from you because, like Sharonda said, we had the gentleman on, you know, the politicians, the senators, the activists, and they were concerned, you know, the lawyers. They were concerned, and we didn't get into gun ownership deeply, but there was a concern in the air of how would gun ownership complicate some of these situations where you find Black men, Black and brown, being murdered in the streets. Usually they are unarmed, but we had Philando Castile.
Mhm.
He was armed, and it seemed like his death was justified because he had a gun on him. How do you speak to that? Folks who want to own a gun, but they're a little bit afraid that it could complicate things even more.
So two things. The first one is this. Just like if you want to get a gun and you want to make sure you have bullets, you also want to make sure that you have some protection for whatever goes on after the bang. So there's US Law Shield, there's USCCA, and a lot of other organizations that have insurance so that if something does happen and you do have to use your firearm in a self-defense situation, that you're covered, right? And so for me, and this is what I would tell my husband if I had one, or my son and my brothers, is that let's worry about that shit after it happens. Get home. So if you have a gun on you and it's gonna complicate things, but it can't get any more complicated for me than for him to be dead because he was unable to protect himself. And so you do what you have to do, baby, and you get home. And then we'll deal with the rest as it comes.
We're so scared about fighting the battle. I'd rather fight the battle above ground. I'd rather fight
Above
the
ground
battle with you than planning a funeral and mourning. Sorry.
Above ground.
Now,
It's
speaking
easier.
on that, as far as Black male ownership, I live up in Coral Springs. One night I was coming home from Miami Gardens, where my parents live, and I got stopped 3 o'clock in the morning by Coconut Creek police officer. The first thing I did, which a lot of people don't do, and Florida law says you do not have to tell a police officer that you have a weapon on you. But however, what I did is I pulled out my license as well as my concealed weapons license, and I gave it to the officer, first of all, to take the confrontation off him, because I'm a pretty big guy, okay? And they see me, and the first thing he asked me, he said, well, where's your firearm? And I told him it was in the glove compartment. He asked me to go in and get my registration as well as my insurance. I told him,
no, sir.
I'm not doing it. He looked at me and he was like, what you say? I said, no, because I say my firearm is in that glove compartment with all my documents you're asking for. I say, now what I can do is I can step outside the car, you can get it, or when backup come, because I know you already called them, okay? And when they show up, they can get it. But however, he looked at my badge and saw I worked for the Department of Children and Families. And he said, okay, what I'm gonna do, just take it easy. And I was literally 2 blocks from my house before he threw them lights on, okay? But because I was up in Coral Springs, a predominantly white area, okay, going through the neighborhood at 3 o'clock in the morning, woo, threw them lights on. But however, as any other person would do, I did not do what they would do. I played the system for me. And I was very cordial. I kept my voice down, and I gave him all the documentation that he needed at the time that was not putting myself at risk. And as Ms. Danielle say, my responsibility was get home to my little rug rats and not become a statistic in these streets.
So here's the thing. One of my mottos is gun on, ego off. Just that. If I'm carrying, I have no right to utilize my ego. Now, I'm not saying I can't be proud of myself. I can't stand up for myself and take care of myself. But a lot of issues that men, and definitely a lot of issues that us Black men have, is that ego. You're gonna try me, so what? I'm gonna not be a punk, you know. So, but because, and this becomes a social economic issue more than a gun issue, because we don't teach our young men how to deal with that, especially nowadays. We don't, even if they are carrying for protection or whatever, illegally or whatever, nobody has told them when and where to pull that trigger, or not pull the trigger, but pull the gun. You can't brandish a gun. But here in the States, here in Florida, you can actually brandish to equalize a threat if somebody was brandishing at you. That's considered self-defense, even if you didn't pull, but you brandish. But if you brandish to elevate that situation, somebody's talking smack and you say, okay, look, this is what I got. You want to go into the higher. Now you just committed a felony. A misdemeanor. If you pull it, you committed a felony. So the thing is, we don't know, and because we lack the information, and we let our ego get involved or our ego step forward, this is how we get caught up. This is how we get caught up with the police officers, because like Doc said, our black men don't know. What's the first thing when you pull me over because I'm black? We want to mouth off at the police officer because we have a bad history with police, and we want to show that we're not no punk. Excuse me, we want to show that we are not punks and pushovers. No, but the reality is, how many black men have actually talked to our young black men or our fellow brothers and say, look, cops pull you over, hush your mouth, put your hands on the steering wheel.
They don't give us a lesson on how to speak. They don't give us a lesson on what to do. We are thrown to the wolves and it's sink or swim. And it's our responsibility now that we know to continue training and educating, period. My 5 and 7-year-old has been training for already 2 years. Like, it's our responsibility.
And if we don't do it, Steph, that's rap music does it, right? Music does it, and other social influences do it, because that's what's filling in the gap for the conversations that are not being had. Like, right, what you all do is great, but we as parents teach our kids, that's wonderful. But everybody's kids ain't our kids. Right. Everybody's kids ain't getting that lesson. Every black man, little black boy is not being taught how to be a man by another black man or any man for that matter. And so they're left to what is readily available to them in this socioeconomic state of time that we're in. And so I think that's why conversations like this, and like Steph said, and like Danielle says, like putting programming into place, right? And outreach into place is not just about teaching them how to hold a gun and how to shoot it. It's that outreach about reaching that ego, reaching that place that makes them feel less than a man when they're in the presence of a police, right? Talking to that place will probably do a lot to lower the statistics that we're looking at.
And it's also important for us to add that there will be times where you do everything right and you still have a negative outcome. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that what Kwaku meant, because I want to clear that up for him, because it sounds a little crazy, but I know him, so I'll just slide in there. There are times where you can do everything right and you'll still have that one person whose ego is in the way and they're, wanting to abuse their power. And so the idea is, Stephanie said the best thing in education and situational awareness. If you're paying attention to what's going on around you and you got your head on a swivel pretty much, you can catch things before they turn into really, really big problems. But in order to do that, you do have to turn your ego off.
And that head on a swivel thing is real. I have a 20-year-old and I have a now recently turned 10-year-old. And from when they were old enough to talk, they learned the 23rd Psalm. And every time they leave my house, they say it and they turn around and say, I know, Mommy, keep my head on a swivel. My baby has taught her friends about keep your head on the swivel. My oldest, who's in college in Tallahassee, miles and miles, I can't get to you, as fast as I may want to get to you if something go down. So I need you to be covered with the word and keep your head on a swivel. And I think a lot of times they have their heads on swivels, but they're looking for the wrong thing. So it's like if we teach them what they need to keep watch for while their head is on a swivel, they won't get so in their feelings about some of the things that they see that's not even worth their time or attention. They're looking at some of the wrong things. Go ahead, Chris.
I know I see Apostle Nelly trying to get in, and I think Brittany was trying to get in earlier. So I
Yeah,
definitely.
I told Brittany to because we're gonna usually open up the comments for the non-panelists at the end. I got it. She sent me a message.
Oh, okay. I didn't know who that was. Okay.
I wanted to just give more clarity. There was a comment that was made that there wasn't a lot of teachings on how our young people should react when they come in contact with police officers. But each police department has a PAL program. We have Big Brothers, Big Sisters, where police officers are actually mentors to the young people. I myself, I go to a lot of the schools, interact and speak to our young people, and that's something that's enforced. There's also a conference that's held every year. It was supposed to be here this year, and it's called it used to be called How to Prevent Crime in the Black Community, but they just changed the name to Preventing Crime in the Community. And they have a segment for the young people where they speak about police encounters, traffic stops, when you get stopped, what are the laws, what officers can ask, and what your behavior sounds the alarm for certain things. So there's training that are out there. A lot of times people do not know that these things are out there and that they can really get more information. But again, Sharonda said something very, very important. The information is going out there, but those who have more influence, these rappers, the young people that has all these stars that they're so fascinated with, they're giving a different message to them that they're listening to, that it's okay to grab your weapon and shoot somebody. I think somebody was saying that you do self-defense for young people. And even when we look at the bullying that's happening now, where we have young people that are bringing weapons to school, because they're being bullied, because they don't know how to defend themselves. And so because they don't know how to, when they get fearful, they bring these weapons. And so it's a lot of things that this is a wonderful panel, but I think what would be really, really good also is for these rappers that have so much influence on our young people to start speaking how you all are speaking, and tell them, listen, put these weapons down. If you want respect from other cultures, you got to learn to respect yourself. If you don't want them to be fearful of you, stop having that aggressive behavior, posting all these weapons on your page when police officers and feds are looking on your Facebook page. They know who you are, and you're posting all these weapons, and you're aiming at there's a lot of things that needs to be changed as we are educated, but a lot of things need to be changed with some of this stuff that those who have influence are putting out there, because they're really helping add on to our young people being destroyed.
That was such a good point, Apostle Nelly. And it's so important that we realize that as we talk about self-defense and gun ownership, that we still, I got white friends that are tuned in here. I got police officers that are tuned in and commenting, and that we're having this conversation in the right perspective. I think that you guys have been doing a great job of reminding everyone that this is about self-defense. But also, now you bring it to the point of, let's make sure our rappers are held responsible for some of these conversations. I'm just happy that right now we got so many people tuned in on Facebook watching. Clearly, y'all wanted to learn today about certified gun ownership and training and all of these things that we're talking about today. We wasn't sure how this conversation would be received. So I like the direction that we're going in. Did every panelist get a chance to check in, chime in? And if so, we should definitely, guys, let's one by one plug your classes as we get ready to transition, because it's our last We're Gonna Learn Today show. So,
yeah, Chris, while we let Brittany have a quick moment to make her statement, I'll unmute her, and then we'll wrap it up for the panelists.
Yes, Brittany, thanks for joining.
Everyone. Hi, I'm going to introduce you guys. I'm Brittany. Actually, my husband wants to speak about some of the stuff you guys are talking about. It's not really me. So here he is.
How everyone doing?
Hey.
How you doing? My name's Charles. I'm Brittany's husband, like she said. Now I'm going to be talking, I guess, from a military perspective. I've just got out in November 27th, 2019. So I haven't, not even a year out of military yet. 10 years of service. And I love what you all are talking about when it comes to self-defense, gun ownership. We talk about it enough in our community, specifically about you know, the way you go about doing it responsibly, I guess. And when you look at the full scope of self-defense, right? Yeah, I know somebody talked about keep your head in the swivel. That's actually a term we use in the military. Keep your head in the swivel. Situational awareness. Somebody mentioned hand combat. Hand-to-hand combat. That's a facet of self-defense. Somebody talked about knowing when to pull your weapon. In the military, we call that rules of engagement. Light force with light force. If somebody throws a rock at you, I'm not going to pull out my pistol because there's no need. The threat's not that elevated. But I think this is a conversation that we all should have in a responsible way, obviously, and teach our children how to handle weapons responsibly. Like I said, coming from a military background, I know the fundamentals of marksmanship. Wherever I aim my rifle, I'm going to hit that target. I just got years of practice, muscle memory. You start from the basics. You call it the crawl to run phase. First you got to crawl before you walk. You got to walk before you run. So don't expect nobody to come through here, go through one marksmanship or a gun safety class expecting to be a top-notch marksman. It's not going to happen. The same thing where, which one thing that's not talked about throughout the community, we talk a lot about the professionalism of police, but we also need to talk about how we react to the police. And 9 times out of 10, the cooler heads in the room prevail. When you learn how to speak and interact with the police in a way that's not aggressive, but assertive and authoritative, in the sense that they now know that you know what you're talking about.
And so I'm gonna jump in right there, Mr. Brooks. First of all, everybody's super excited. Thank you for your service. I think Stephanie served as well. I'm a vet myself. And so thank you for that commentary. We want to make sure we get a chance to wrap up. Did you want to say some closing words, Mr. Brooks?
It's Johnson, but
oh. Well,
no, it's fine. I'll take Brittany's last name tonight, but but no, okay. I just love that y'all are having this panel. I'm new to South Florida. I really like I guess, is it NAGA, N-A-G-A? I would definitely love to get involved in that. Wherever.
N-A-A-G.
AAG. Okay, I would love to get involved in that. I love going to the gun range myself. If y'all need volunteers for anything, just tell Brittany or get my email and let me know.
We don't even know who Brittany is, but thank you. Listen, I'm all the way in Portland, Oregon. Stephanie is probably in Texas. We all over. The bulk of us are in South Florida. Hey, girl.
Oh, no, Daryl knows me. Daryl's my coworker.
There you go. Okay. I
get
it, Daryl.
Oh,
so,
God.
We want to make sure we get an understanding of how we can connect with you. Where are you? How do we take your classes? What's first steps? So before we get ready to transition, you guys tell us about your classes. Give us, everybody's saying they want more information. Give us your plugs.
So I'm not certifying in Texas for license to carry, but I am always open to any ladies that want to hit the range, that want to get familiar with firearms, link up with me, Family Ties Firearms Training. Also, get with your local NAGA chapter, naaga.co/chapters. That is the best way to continue your training. So once you get your license, once you get your firearm, get your carry insurance and get with your local NAGA chapter and protect yourself. That's it. That's all I got to say.
I like that, Stephanie. Hey, outside is open, guys. Instead of hitting the club, get with your girlfriends and let's go to the range, go to the outdoor ranges, like explore, shoot different type of weapons. I know you done shot all type of stuff, Stephanie, as a soldier.
I have. Actually, my favorite, and I'll always mention it, when I was serving in the Army, we trained on a 50 cal because I'm a truck driver, so we got to learn the gunner, the turret. So I shot a 50 cal, and I love it. I love it. It brings me into a zone. I can meditate. I could clear my head. Like it's just I'm one with it's my therapy. So I mean, I really recommend it. Just yeah, I recommend it.
Love it. Keep going, y'all. Give us your plugs. Give us your plugs. How can we stay in touch? Drop your links if you're on Facebook and you're on 2 different devices. Keep going, guys.
So again, I'm Danielle Campbell. I am the Director of Outreach and Community Development. So that's onboarding new members and also programming for the gun club. And so if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to ask below, or you can send me a private message. We are in the process of putting together online informational sessions. We're going to have 3 of those. You can follow the club's Facebook page at Black Arms Gun Club, South Florida. And again, you can ask me directly if you have any questions.
I love it. I'm gonna drop my plug. If y'all need some marketing, I would love to work for one of y'all, especially the ladies, because this is gonna be new to my group of people, and I think that we will wholeheartedly embrace it. But keep going, y'all. Give us your plugs, your classes. Who we missing?
Doc and Kwaku.
Yes.
Okay, well, I go ahead. My name is Darryl, of course, Darryl Doc Holiday. I'm on Instagram as well as Facebook. Actually, I belong to 2 gun clubs. The one that Miss Stephanie founded up in Tampa, now turned into the Black Lions Gun Club, as well as with Miss Danielle. I met her the first time I met Miss Danielle and Miss Stephanie. They brought such a joy to seeing females, ladies, who know how to handle their weapons in such a professional manner. So I was at awe. and I'm telling you, because most of my clients are ladies with children. I do bring the children in and have them training as well. Matter of fact, when I was at Tampa, one of my sons, 9-year-old friend brought his 9-year-old daughter. And I'm telling you, the way she was handling the firearm, I put it up on my pages. She was doing better than most adults. Because children absorb better than adults, because most adults already have that concept. I know what I'm doing. So if you want to get some good training, come out, be with us with the Black Arms Gun Club here in the Broward County area. If you're in Tampa, get with the Black Lions Gun Club up there. Also, we have Mr. Scurry here, who was actually our firearms trainer for the Black Arms Gun Club. I'm just the one that sits behind the wall. He the one teaches myself and others continue training. So Mr. Scurry is on. I just see him pop up there at the bottom.
Mr. Scurry is a beast.
You know, we all plug each other. We all, you know, what I can't do, I send it off to somebody else. There's no where I'm the best, because I don't know everything. That's why I continue training. And each one can say the same thing. From Kwaku, I know him and I got together and did some arm-to-arm combat, and I was like, I'm out of here. I'm too old to be doing that fighting. So, hey, you leave that to you. You're younger. I'm too old to be fighting like that. I'll talk my way out of it. If I can't, I have to go to my baby. So that's me, Doc Holiday.
Thank you, Doc. I mean, listen, me and Doc go way back. I know his brother. They taking my family pictures, portraits. I didn't know you was a killer like that, but yeah, we go way back. I know him as an incredible man of God. Thank you so much for being here and for helping us get all these incredible guests.
Thank you.
You better say something to your grandma. She on this Facebook page telling everybody that you her granddaughter.
Oh my goodness. I love hearing it.
Your grandma is out here tonight.
I'm gonna give you a quick story about her and the stock that I come from. So I'm from Brooklyn, New York. If anybody knows, New York is one of the toughest states to get your license, your firearm. I literally didn't carry until I left New York, like never even touched a firearm. When my grandmother came down to visit me in Florida, I made sure I gave her a firearm safety class, taught her how to hold a firearm, rack her slide, and she was just holding it and operating it like a pro. So I'm just honored. That is my grandma, my nana.
We know that's your grandma. She know all of us.
That's my grandbaby, y'all. That's my
First grandchild.
baby.
Her first. There you go, D. Her first grandchild. Don't leave out the details. We're sorry, Kwaku.
So
Go ahead.
cute.
We just had to give Grandma Marissa a shout out.
That's
Wow,
quite all
Mr.
right.
Good.
That's quite all right. My name is Kwaku James of Torian Strategies. Torian, like Taurus, Taurean Strategies. You can find me on Instagram. I specialize in self-protection. I don't like saying self-defense. I say self-protection because it encompasses a lot more than just defense. Defensive reactionary. Protection is proactive. So that being said, I teach concealed carry courses to get your license. I also teach a concealed carry class that I'll be putting together this summer. Hopefully after all this stuff is down, I'll have my first class, which we actually talk about carrying your weapon, what type of holster to get, the do's and don'ts of carrying. We also talk about self-defense. If it's a 2-day course, we actually utilize some basic self-defense as well. And just to go back on what we were talking about earlier, it's a hard class. It's literally a pass or fail, because if you go outside of the target, you failed. I believe that you need to know where your bullets go. And so that's it's going to be a hard class, but it's definitely going to be worth it if you're focused. So if you guys are interested, you're in South Florida and you guys want some private training or just some self-defense training, or want to set me up, or you can contact me. And I do travel. I have free time. I can travel. That's Torian Strategies on Instagram.
All right. Listen, I would suggest, if you can, y'all check out the comments on Facebook when you get a chance. Inbox everybody. I see people dropping their information. I see people dropping phone numbers, emails. We can't do nothing with it. They want training. Y'all reach out to them. And I just got to say this. The brother Kaku is Mr. K is completely starting over right now. And I have a heart for new business owners, small business owners. So please support him and what he does as he gets his first classes started and he regroups and reboots. Let's show him some love.
And Nelly, to close out. Nelly, before we shoot up.
Say that again.
It's your turn to give your closing.
So I'm Apostle Nelly. I don't only just cover transforming and renewing hearts, but I launched last year Kingdom Global Advancement. And one of our first assignment that the Lord has given me. It's the title, or the name of it is Not on My Block. And so we're doing training as far as the root of the issues that we have in our community, how everything started in the 1960s, what really started separating our men from our families, and how it took a turn, and why we're seeing the fruit of some of the laws that was passed in the 1960s, and why we see so many things that are happening. So Not on My Block, we're coming together just to focus on what the issues are and implement strategy and change that's going to not only change things for our young people now, but something that's going to continue happening, because truly I stand behind my people perish from a lack of knowledge. A lot of people don't even realize who we are, why Moses was placed in the now. When we don't know who we are, we are treated any kind of way, we talk any kind of way, we look any kind of way. And so that's what we're doing, some of the things that we're doing in our community.
Deep breath. Thank you so much for being on today. I think there was no better way to round out our 8 weeks of We Gonna Learn Today. I can't believe that we rounded out with gun training. Trust me, we could have never predicted this, but it was so appropriate that we learned that protection and self-defense is our responsibility in this time. And the physical and the spiritual, all of that kind of tones in and goes together. We started this show, We're Gonna Learn Today, with the idea of, we don't know what's happening now, but it seems like new information needs to be put out. We're not in school. We don't know who's teaching it. So Sharonda and I decided to kind of just come together on this. Sharonda, oh my God, the semester's ending. What Dr. Tasha, y'all talk to me.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to do a little African lesson, okay? Because there's a few things that as African Americans or West Indians that do not know. We don't know better, so we don't do better, but I want us to know better. Sometimes when we ask anyone that has an African name and we lower it or abbreviate it, is actually disrespectful in my mind, because this is very different. This is a little sideline message. Let me tell you why. For a Kwaku or a Kwaku, different depending on where you're from, that means born on Wednesday. Okay, people, take your pencils out. Okay, Kofi means you are born on Friday. Kwame, these are the 4 that I know. Kwame means born on Saturday. Okay, and then Kwesi, which can be spelled with an A or an E, is born on Sunday. Now there are the other 3 for the other 3 days that we can look up, but I want us to just go ahead, sir.
Kwajiwa is Monday. Kwabena is Monday. Kwajiwa is Tuesday, and Yaw is Thursday. That's one of the names.
Come on. So if you need to play this back and say it out loud in the mirror, I want us to get better. Just know that when we do it, as Black Americans, as West Indians that think it's hard, it's almost the same way I think of white folks telling us, like, how do you say that? As in something wrong with us, when nothing's wrong with us. We come from the motherland. We were the first, okay? And we will be the last. And I just wanted us to just find, sometimes we got to get better at always abbreviating folks that look just like us, okay?
Y'all, let's take the lesson and make sure I get this lesson. I think it's for me. Say your name.
You're representing millions of people. That's why I'm saying it. It's not.
But I want to get it because I still didn't get it. I was typing on Facebook.
A Kwaku or a Kwaku, born on Wednesday. Go ahead, sir.
All right. So I used to be a corporate trainer, and this was my opening. My name is Kwaku Atu Kefing James. Kwaku means boy child born on Wednesday. Atu means brilliant. Kefing means black man, and James means James. So that makes me a brilliant black man born on Wednesday.
Okay. So when we say let's call him AK, KW, this like, what? Kwame's over there like, oh, these black folks over here, they always messing this up. I can see it, and I know that we're doing our best, which is why I do things like this, because I know we do our best, and when we know better, we do better. Okay, we good? Okay, next. Okay, because y'all see this right here? This is notes. First of all, thank y'all everyone to what was on the platform. But first of all, I love being around passionate people. Like when you're passionate about your stuff, it makes me want to figure out what it is that I need to know about you and what you do. So I appreciate it because I can tell it. There's a lot of heart. You guys believe in everything that you're saying. It gave me a lot of Harriet Tubman right now. Like I'm feeling real. Like I want to do another revolt, kind of like last week. There was something now I want to talk about next semester, where we're going to go. I don't know when it's going to start, but it's definitely so many things to do and what was said. One thing that I can appreciate Danielle saying, however, I would love to have a conversation about, she said, we are accustomed as Black women to doing everything by ourselves. I would love to talk about this, okay? This independent Black woman is also tired. So sometimes we come across this like, we just beating our chest, but at the same time, we need our men. So what can we do to change this? I love when Apostle Nelly talked about 1960s or 1860s, either way it goes. On each of those blocks, we had to figure out a way to do it without our men for some obvious reasons that are all in our history. And we just don't have to stay there. And so I know that you said it because that's your real life, but I don't want us to that to be our life for the next decade or 2 decades from now. Another thing that I can appreciate Doc said about, I never thought about it in terms of educating our kids, because as a therapist, I've worked with parents who have been grieving their child from accidental suicides. Okay? Because of what was in their nightstand, they wanted to go play while they were at the store, And so it's ain't nothing funny about talking to a grieving parent. Not one moment of oops. The oops doesn't work when you're in my office, okay? And then there was another thing that, it was just so much. Doc also said about Black men always, okay, so the way he was talking about when he was pulled over in Coral Springs, I'm up here, Margate, and I just got so tired of Black men having to accommodate folks that are scared of them. It's just the whole idea of having to water yourself down so that you're okay. Like, it's some BS, and it bothers me. I understand that we have to do it. I understand when the Kwaku said, literally, we have to make sure it's gun on, ego off. I get it. We can't live in this egocentric, reactive way. But there are moments where it's just not, it sucks that we have to do all of this, right? Just to come out the door because we're brown. And so I would definitely love moving forward next semester where we kind of get into what we can do, how to focus this rage, right? What we can do, how to love on our men as
Yes.
Black men, as Black women. Also for Black women, for us to feel loved as well, right?
Yes.
All this independence and tired and exhaustion. You know, we wasn't laying, you know, by ourselves when they were conceived, you know? And so, yeah, that's about it. But we got so much to talk about. It's a blessing to be a part of this village. Shervonda and Crystal Chanel, you know, I love y'all. And thank you for sharing this platform with me. I've definitely enjoyed it up until thus far, but we know we got lots of work to do. And it's nice meeting y'all on this today.
Likewise. And thank you again, ladies.
Awesome. Thank you for
And
having me.
Jen.
Yes. Oh my God.
I have
Dr.
to
Ty
talk
does what
about
she does best, gets us all together, brings the conversation in a way that helps us all make sense and gives us all homework and things to think about. When we started this, we were clear that we gonna learn today. Sharonda, anything you want to add?
So I usually do the recap. So this is our final recap of the semester. And I think there could be no better day to have this recap than to have it on the day where, you know, Doc, myself, and Chris are both in the state of, we're just so glad it's time for that little break, right? Not that we don't enjoy what it is that we do, but every now and then you have to take a moment to replenish yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So for our viewers who have been with us this entire 8 weeks, Chris and I, we just want to say thank you for learning with us every week. And if we can have you remember something from each one of our lessons, number one, remember that you count. You know, the first week we talked about being counted. The only time that you cannot be counted is when you recuse yourself from being counted in the vote. So remember that you count. Number two, be the master of your own mind. For God is the author and the finisher, but you have to be the master of the work that he has given you to do. The third, we talked about keeping your faith. Keep your faith, right? Finish your race. Fight your fight. And keep your mind in perfect peace so that you can do your work. The fourth week, we talked about training up our children, right? Being these, Danielle, being these, and Nellie being these at-home teachers to our children. And so I want to encourage every mother, every parent that's watching and that will watch the replay, train up your children in the way that they should go. Take this time now to do that, because when they are old, they will remember this time that the only teacher that they had in their life was the first teacher that they were given when they were given life. And so remember to train them up in the way they should go. And then the fifth week, we talked about maintaining our health. And so remember to eat to live. You know, this time being in the quarantine, the stores not having everything that you may want, and the restaurants that we love to go to and feed our faces, you know, because we just live to eat. We have to start eating to live and keep our mind stay on the work. We talked about maintaining our mind and maintaining our man and our woman. You know what I mean? And Doc just talked about it, and Dee and I was over here laughing. Many of us men, many of us women, we can be your peace. We just need you to be a rock. And so, you know, we learned in that lesson, you know, that we have the ability to keep up in our relationships, to put up with things in our relationships, to hold up our men and our women, to stand up for our relationships, and most importantly, know when to shut up in our relationships. And then the next week, we talked about being Black in these United States of America, being Black in the plight of being that. I want to encourage everybody in this time that is coming in this new age of time, be Blacker than Black. Like, don't conform to this world, but cause this world to be transformed, because you have taken this time to renew your mind. and to
Mm.
know who it is you are and who you have been created to be. Stand your ground. Stand your ground being fully covered in the armor, not only in the armor of God, but in the armor that will protect you and your families and your homes and your children everywhere that they go. You know, Garvey said that your black skin is not a badge of shame, but that it is rather a glorious symbol of national greatness. So be that symbol. Be great. Don't wear the color of your skin as if you have to be shamed for it, because there shall be no liberty on this earth until we, as the black and brown, ring that bell of liberty. So be blacker than black. Stand your ground. And most importantly, now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly more than everything that we have asked him for in this 9 weeks, everything that we've thought of. If you've asked for something during this time, or you thought of something during this time, it is still lower than what he is able to do for you. So set your affections on things and know that God will hit the mark way above anything you could ask or think. We love you. Love hard. You may forget what we have said these past 8 weeks. You may even forget what we've done for you. But we pray that you never forget how we made you feel and how you felt during this time. And so we thank you for joining us on We Gonna Learn today. Dr. Tasha, we're gonna miss you on this clipboard during this break in the semester. Thank you to every guest, to every commenter, to every person. And we just hope that you take outside may be open, but make sure you are equipped for what is causing you to be open to. We love you. We mean it. And I'm out.
Before you go, first of all, before you go, I gotta get you to do one final plug. I know I'm gonna do one final plug, but before you do, I'm gonna say incredible wrap up. She just put the cliff notes down of the past 8 weeks. It gave me chills. I took notes, you know, and it was just actually so divine. And you have been doing an incredible job with that, Sharonda, for the past 8 weeks with everything you said. So finally, I need you to make sure people know what you do and how they support you. So I'm gonna go first so that you can be the final words when we close out. Guys, my name is Crystal Chanel. I host for a living and I run a marketing company. And as we transition out of this 8 weeks, I'm gonna be doing the things that I've been praying for. I started school last week. I am in my second at Yale University online. It's my first time going to school for marketing. I've been working in this field for the past since 2013, so the past 7 years, on the strength of what God gave me, and God really revealed to me in this time. Keep going and take it to the next level. So I start school, got a few new clients I'm really excited about. Got a little capacity for a couple more. I can earn a few more bags. So if you need some marketing and you need somebody, just some advice, a consult, whatever, now's the time to get it in. Because after I finish my degree, baby, it's a whole new story. But follow me on Press Release Marketing on all platforms. And I just would love for you to just kind of continue to vibe with us as we figure out what we're going to do next. So that's what I'm doing, Sharonda. How can we support you and what you've been doing?
First of all, we can go to drivebytherapy.com and register with Dr. Tasha if y'all want to, just make sure we plug that, because I see a lot of people asking. Doc, make sure you pin it to the Facebook Live feed.
We'll do drivebytherapy.org. When y'all are ready, I'm ready. I'm always here when you're ready.
And as for me, it's simple. Every day I just strive to make somebody's life sweeter, one bite at a time. And so during this pandemic, we had to shift from our dessert catering business to producing a full line of immunity defense teas that are filled with natural herbs and supplements, cerasee, turmeric, hibiscus, elderberry, all fresh. You can go to defensetea.com. If you put your order in today is the last day for the $20 box. It does go up tomorrow. So that is defensetea.com. You put the order in, we'll bring it to you. And if you are available, especially, Danielle, Doc, any of y'all gun-toting brothers and sisters, this weekend, for the second weekend in a row, the Sweet Exchange, which is the name of one of my businesses, along with Chef Culture, Catch This, and The Urban, we are doing a drive-by dinner at The Urban in Overtown. This week is the drive-through cookout. It is Memorial Day. And we want to make sure that you can still enjoy the cookout, the music, and the vibes from the comfort and the safety of your car. while you drive through and be handed a full meal. Last we gave out full meals from rice, chicken, cabbage, roll, dessert, drinks, all tied up in the bag. So it'll be this Saturday from 1 to 4 at the Urban. Again, that is defenset.com. We talked about defending ourselves. We're taking up arms, but you got to first be healthy and whole within. And so if you need a detox and need to regulate your body and your system, we got the answer for you. Yeah.
What day is the drive-by?
This Saturday. It's the drive-through cookout at the Urban on 10th Street and Northwest 2nd Avenue.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharonda, for that. It's so important that you guys support during this time, and just reach out and see what you can do, because we sure got a lot of things that you can do and be a part of the community, from the South Florida all the way to Portland, all the way across the country where I am. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sharonda, Tasha, I miss you guys already.
I miss you already. Danielle, I'm gonna text you about them glasses.
Okay.
I miss y'all already. Okay. FaceTime me, friend.
I know, right? Bye, guys. Have a great night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.